Hello, hey, I'm Jeff with Spoon River Outdoors. Want to start a new video series to share some things I've learned with you guys. Basically a lot of outdoorsy stuff, from trapping and fishing, maybe some foraging we'll get into. I'd like to make a video and share it with you today, doing some dog proofs for raccoons, see if we can get some of these coon population down. Those coons have been pretty hard on the wild turkey population here on our property, so I'm going to try to thin some of these guys down and bring that turkey population back. When it comes to trapping raccoons, really they're a fairly easy animal to trap. They're not only predictable, but they're curious. They're garbage eaters. They'll eat pretty much whatever they can find. Any table scraps that you would put out. I mean, obviously raccoons have got a long history of getting into garbage cans and such. So any baiting raccoons, you can use dog food, cat food, use the dry food, especially in these dog-proof traps. They won't solidify up in there and hold your triggers up. Let's talk about these traps here real quick. So with the dog proof, it's kind of nice. A lot of people that want to trap farm ground, say farmers got dogs, they don't want taking a chance of getting their dogs caught. So you know, you'd use these dog proofs for that. They are simple to use. It's just a cylinder with a trigger on the inside there. Squeeze in the spring, hold the dog down, get your trigger set. This is a pull only type trap, so they will have to pull up, so you'll want to make sure you get enough food for them down below that trigger so that they pull up on it, get their arms caught. One trick I found, these springs aren't horrible for setting, but just throw a small piece of PVC pipe in there. That'll keep your jaw halfway. Then you can just grab that trigger and squeeze it, set your dog, and you're good to go. Let's get a couple of these traps out. One thing you'll want to do when you're choosing your location for where you're going to put your traps at, for raccoons and other animals for that matter, is setting on sign. You really want to set where you know that there's activity. Your chances are just so much better there. You can see we've got a small game trail running through here. I don't know how well it's going to show up on the camera. Right through here, running over to these trees. We've got just a lot of these soft maples down here along the river that have got wind damage over the years. A lot of hollow spots in them. Them raccoons like to den up in there, and that's a good spot to trap, especially when you've got the sign. When you're ready to set your trap up, you want to set these dog proofs right in the trail, guys. I mean, just here's their trail right here, and I'm gonna put it right at the edge of it. Throw it on just a little bit of an angle. You want to pretty much make them raccoons almost run into it. Don't make them go searching for it. I'm baiting these. I'm not going to use any lure. The difference between lure and bait is lure just gets them to come over. The bait is what keeps them there, and that's how you're going to catch them. You're not going to catch a raccoon on lure. You're going to just draw them in. You need to keep them in your area for a little while. When we bait these things up, I've got a little bit of dog food I'm going to drop in here, and then I've also got some Cheerios that I soaked in bacon grease. I can't say that I've ever used these things before, but I also can't imagine that they're not going to work well. You want to kind of shake it around a little bit, make sure that you get some of that bait down in below that trigger, because you need them spending enough time here that they've got their hands down below it, so when they pull up, that dog releases and then they can get caught in the cuff. Don't be afraid to sprinkle a little bit around on that trail. Again, you're trying to get them here, you're trying to keep them for a good amount of time. Sometimes I'll throw a golf ball on the top of it. For one thing, it's eye appeal. Coons are curious, as I've said. They are interested in shiny and bright things. This dog trap, or dog-proof trap, is kind of blends in with the leaves. It doesn't really stick out, and you want them to see it. Plus, if it rains or you get a heavy dew, which we're not going to get tonight because it's just too cold, this will keep the rain out of there and keep your bait from getting soggy. It'll also keep the mice out of there. I've never had problems with mice, but I've heard of people that have. Raccoon will take that ball off of there in a heartbeat. It will not slow him down. I've got a small chain that I wrap around this tree and then just put a threaded link on with the swivels. When you're looking at setting your traps, you can really almost never have too many swivels. That's what's going to keep them chains from getting overly tight and them being able to pull out. Anytime they try twisting while they're connected on there, you don't want those chains knotting up on you. You want them to be able to twist. Hey, one little tip. I was out here in this spot probably 3 or 4 years ago, and I had some dog proof set up for coon trapping, and I set them a little bit too close to this fence. Thought it was a good place, didn't have a stake with me, didn't want to take time to walk back to the truck and grab one, so I anchored off onto the fence at the bottom of that T-post, or that post. What happens when you do that sometimes is those raccoons will try to climb that fence, get to the other side, which is exactly what that raccoon I caught did. And he was able to actually pull his arm out of that dog proof. So you don't want to give them something like that where they can get any kind of leverage and possibly get away from you, because that's what I came back to, was an empty trap. Hey, when you're setting your traps, if you find a spot that looks like it's got an abundance of activity, there's no reason not to set more than one trap out in a pretty tight location. I just set 3 out here. I've got a heavy used game trail. There's a lot of raccoon poop in this area, and I'm hoping that I can catch more than one. Got these set up here. I did go ahead and throw some golf balls on these, just because, hoping that'll give them a little eye appeal and they'll like it and come and get caught. You guys can see this is probably 100 feet away from the last set that I just put those 3 traps out on. I'm gonna throw one more here. This trail's just being used all the time. I think some of it might be squirrels, but I know there's a lot of coons out here. I've seen them when I was out here deer hunting. Guys, we got our 8th trap out today. That'll be our last one, well, because I only have 8 traps. We'll check this in the morning. Should have got out here sooner in the year. We're a week from Christmas now. The weather's started getting cold. It's going to be a high of 25 today, low in the low teens. Them raccoons will still be out tonight, but they're not going to be running like they were a week or 2 weeks ago. I'm hoping that we can get something on here, and I've got something to show you in the morning. All right, it's the next morning. You can see it's gotten considerably colder overnight. We got a bunch of ice in the river this morning. We had none in there yesterday at all. I just got to the first dog proof that we'd set yesterday. Unfortunately, there is nothing in it. Something had stopped by. All the bait's gone. All right, we're coming up here on check number 2. Looks like we do have one raccoon here. Let's go see what he looks like. All right, not a bad one. I'll go ahead and dispatch this animal and we'll move along. Well, there's another one with nothing in it. We've still got 2 more to check. Let's see what we get. That's our last check for today. That's number 8. Looks like we got completely skunked on this one. All the food still left around it. The golf bowl's sitting on top and intact. We'll dump that one out and give something a little lunch for today. One last thing I want to talk to you guys about before we conclude is the misconception that raccoons hibernate. They don't necessarily hibernate. They do go dormant days at a time when it gets real cold. I believe that's around 15 degrees for your average temp. They're pretty active until then. As you saw, we had 8 dog proofs out last night. We only got one. I'm thankful for that one. I'm not going to complain. If I could, I'd like to get you guys to like and subscribe to Spoon River Outdoors YouTube channel. I mentioned earlier in this video that I'd like to put out some more content moving forward. Looking at some fishing when the weather warms up. I'm going to do some more trapping. We'll try to get out and maybe do some leg sets for more coons. Hopefully we'll get into some coyote. I wanted to trap these beaver that are chewing my trees down next weekend, but it's going to be so cold I don't think the ice is going to stay off of the river. So they're going to be able to stay for at least another week. I think 10-day outlook's looking warmer, so hopefully we can get in and thin some of them beaver out there. I appreciate you guys all watching this channel.